Hello everyone, this is Alex here. Welcome back to episode 3 of Let's Play Virtual Destiny 4. And this is starting to get to the point where I'm starting to get kind of slightly blind. 2 starts. White always has the only move in the game. Yeah, so white always starts. If black starts, then that's illegal. Question, now that you know how the switches move, you know a legal boost like you choose from the start of the game, so read out for yourself before continuing. There's 20 possible moves at the start of this game. As there are 8 pawns in each pawn miss, once your score at the beginning, that already makes it 16 possible pawn moves, but there are still 4 possible moves. Return, play one of those 4 moves on the chessboard. And, as you might have guessed, it has to do with the knights.
Well done!
The other 3 possible moves are with the other knight moves. Yeah, so basically you can move your knight or a pawn first in your first move. Once pawn is played, the first move in the game, it's black's turn to play, and so on. Your player is slowed to miss a turn. Play 2 moves in succession and capture pieces at the same turn. Play 2 moves in succession or capture pieces at the same time. So you can't capture 2 pieces at the same time. You have to do it like in some sort of order. If you break the rules of chess, then the chess gods will torture you. Just kidding, just being funny. Just telling you guys that you need to play chess by the rules. You do not have to capture, unlike draughts. You do not have to take an enemy piece and if and when the opportunity presents itself. Yeah, you don't have to do that. Now here comes the main thing of the game. Checking the king. Checking the king is the king said to be in check. If it's directly threatened by an enemy piece, the player whose king is in check must move out of check immediately. Here's the main goal of the game. To capture the king. Make sure he's in check. If your king is in check, there are 3 ways to move out of check. 1. Capture the piece attacking the king with one of your own pieces or even with the king itself. So yeah. Basically you have to get out of check immediately when you're in check. The second way you can do is move your king to a square not controlled by any piece. Obviously you're not allowed to put your king into check, because basically if you put your king into check, you would automatically lose the game. So you want to make sure there's a way to get out of check without having you land in check. You see right there, there's extra right there, so you move to 1 of 4 spaces. 3. Place one of your own pieces between your king and the piece attacking it. This is not possible if the king is being attacked by a pawn or a knight. So if it's being attacked by a pawn or a knight, it's not going to work. Now watch what's going to happen. Now, if like the rockers go down, then that's what they do. Then the bishop will get king in check. Then it will go on and on, so on, so on. Okay, let's move on. Okay, your turn. Here, white can only has 1 move to counter the check given by the black bishop. Which one? Play the move. There's only 1 move to counter it. And it looks like you got to use the rook.
Well done!
So you can't move out of check. In this position, white has 2 moves to counter the check given by the black rook. Choose one and then play it. And it's always like this.
Well done!
The other move is use the knight. Oh, of course, the knight. The white king is put in check by the black pawn. How do you counter the check? Let's see. I don't know. Maybe just like you show a check. Oh yeah, of course, this. Brilliant, the black pawn was unprotected. And during game, player puts his own king to check a mistake by moving on a square controlled by an enemy piece. It is put on his tome, so a player then takes back his move and plays another one, and the game continues. So it's playing a legal move. So yeah, you don't want to put your game. Yeah, so both players are not allowed to put your king into check. because that would be illegal. Yeah, so if someone moves into the check, then you have to move out of check. But in the game, it just says it, okay? Now, let's see what happens if the king can't get out of check. Whoa, what's that? Okay, checkmate. Check the game. If the king is attacked by an enemy piece and none of the defense options we discussed earlier is available, then the king is said to be checkmate. The camp whose king is checkmate has then lost the game. So, in other words, the king can get out of check. Now watch. This bishop controls those two squares. Or I should say F1. Now the black rook is to checkmate the. Now it's going to move. Now watch as the black rook moves to square E8 to make the king have no escape route and lose the game. Sad, sad king. Another example of checkmate. Last to move. Despite black's material advantage, white wins because it checkmates the black king. Yeah. The pawn at G6 shows scores F7 and H7. Let's see it. It's right there. The white bishop on B2 controls the scores G7 and H8. So, you know what this means? Now the king comes in and checkmates the black king, which is no escape. You know what that means? Boom! The black king is now checkmate. The knight can move the other square to checkmate the black king. Which one? Play the knight's other move. The other square that he can move on is obviously this one.
Well done.
That was easy. And now, your turn. Here's black choose. Wait, one move. Now you can do one of the methods, but watch this. Watch this. You see that? That's kind of weird. When you do that, like the rook like goes all the way up and does that glitch. It doesn't do all three spaces it can move to. Okay, it's kind of weird, but okay, let's do this already.
Well done.
Actually, you just played your very first checkmate. Again, white checkmates, black in one move. Oh, because oh yeah, he can don't move there because he can escape, but his move is illegal. I guess the only way, yeah, I'm not sure how to do this again, but
well done.
Yes, the black king has captured like the queen. Like, so, since the king cannot capture the queen, the king is blocking it, and that means the black has no escape squares left, and therefore it is checkmate. End of lesson. But what if it's the king's turn, and there's no way to get out of check? Let's see it. Let's see stalemate. So, the stalemate is if the player who is due to move next to has no legal move left, yet his king is not checkmate the situation and no stalemate. The game is then declared a draw. So watch. Here, white to play has no legal move left, but as the white king is not in check, white is not checkmate. White's king is stalemate. So the rook is actually controlling the two squares above him, and the black king is controlling the square next to him. And the pawn is therefore not allowed to move any further because of the knight. Another example, white to play has no move left and is stalemate. Watch. See the pawn right there? It's between the kings and it's controlling the two squares white can move to. But the king is in front of it, so they can't move next to each other, and therefore the king cannot escape. So we need to find white's only move is stalemate the black king. Take your time and think carefully. Let's think carefully. The black's gonna stalemate with that move. Thanks for the queen. I like how they do that for that.
Wonderful.
Yep, see right there? Excellent, but don't play that move in a real game or you're economy offering your opponent a draw. And a lesson. Yeah, there we go. There are actually a few other indices of draw in chess. There are only there are 5 different ways, so in total 6 ways to make it a draw. The first way is the agreement between the players. So basically, players, this is part of the simplest and most common method of ending a game with a draw. They're playing this move. One of the players can always pull in a draw. Their player can either accept the game is over, or refuse, and the game continues. So yeah, this could not happen. So the insufficient main material. If only black king are left on the board, the game is a draw, and its near side will usually checkmate the other. See, watch. They're going the king's left, and therefore they cannot capture each other. So goes the game. The one side is holding the king left, and the other side is a knight, king and knight, or king and bishop. The game is drawn as there is insufficient material to mate of the mate. So yeah. Now there's a third one called perpetual check. White to play moves his queen to e8, putting the king in check. In spite of black's huge material superiority, the game is drawn as all black can do is moves the king to h7. As the white queen moves there, the king is in check. And now the black king is going to move to h7. That's the only thing you can do. Now the white moves his queen to h5 and checks the king. All black can do is make the square g8 and back in the original position. So, if the queen moves there, yeah, she moved there, and yeah, he goes up, and then back to the original position. They go. By alternating playing his queen to his h5 and e8 and playing black king in check each time, black can prolong the game indefinitely. It's known as perpetual check, and the game is a draw. Or as purest to proceed in the other camp. It's called perpetual check, another draw method, and since it goes on and on, the king be captured, then goes the game, draw. Because it can go on and on and on, and then boom. But there is something else that's talking about placements. Default repetition. Instead of the same position on boards for each few times during a game, the player is less for a draw. The game is declared a draw. So watch this example. So the rook is going to move from b1 to d1 for its current position. Then it shows all the players' locations flashing. Now the black is going to move its bishop to square a4. Now it's going to put the rook back to b1. So the bishop goes back to c1, and the white goes back to c1, square d1, and then they go back to the spots, those spots, and then they go back to the spots they originally were. And there's another occurrence of the position. So once again, he's going to move his bishop back because his bishop is a4. And now the rook's going to go to a1. Now watch this. If they go back to the same places they were, then watch, same occurrence, and then draw. Yeah. Please note, the rule this already applies to beginners. Indeed, it requires proof that the same position is in need previous times. Just proving only finish in the game has been clearly reported, which is the case during official championships, but not during friendly games between amateurs. Now there's one more. It's called the 50 move rule. If during a game the 50 moves being played without a piece being captured upon being moved, you're putting that's for the game to be declared a draw. Here again, this unusual probably applies to beginners. Your turn. White is still behind the material. Seriously compromising his chances of the game. What can white do to avoid losing the game? And we'll do that